never smoke the dizzy, but we can always share some ditties. It's just a cup in time. This song doesn't have to run. Life's all of us, not every moment we can be feeling fine. I wanna share a moment, just a second if you will, maybe even a cup of thrill. We could share this performance. It's tea time, come sit with me.
Well, welcome, guys. That's right. Miss Liz is here. That's right. We are here, and we're going to have an incredible tea time because I have an incredible guest sitting in the back of the studio, and we're going to spill some tea. We're going to talk about dogs chase cars, and it's not what you guys think we're doing. We're not talking about those puppy dogs. We're going to be talking about some life lessons and some big stories today with my incredible, with Pat Sangimino. I hope I'm saying it right. If not, he's going to let me know when he gets in the studio. But before we get started, we're going to get everybody over to Miss Liz's YouTube channel and Spotify channel. And we're going to get you to click that little follow button, subscribe button, and get these tea times out to all of your friends and loved ones out there, because each tea time does make a difference when we start sharing. And that's the ripple effect of Tea Time with Miss Liz. So let's get started with the disclaimer. And then I have an incredible intro of my guest. And then we're going to spill some tea together and we're going to have some fun. Disclaimer for Miss Liz's Tea Time live shows. Miss Liz's Tea Time is a global platform dedicated to sharing real-life stories, diverse perspectives, and meaningful conversations that inspire awareness, healing, and connection. Miss Liz is going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment during the live broadcast, please grant StreamYard permission to display your name at StreamYard.com. Please be advised that all content brought forward during any Tea Time show is presented in good faith. However, discussions may include opinions, beliefs, and perspectives that do not necessarily represent the views of Miss Liz or the Tea Time platform. Information shared by guests is based on their own experiences and is perceived to be accurate at the given time of airing. All guests, viewers, and participants are responsible for using their own judgment when considering any action or decision that may relate to these discussions. Some episodes may cover sensitive topics, including but not limited to trauma, abuse, grief, mental health, and other emotional triggering subjects. Listeners' and viewers' discretion is strongly advised. Tea Time with Miss Liz is an open discussion forum designed to offer insight, inspire awareness, and create connection. It is not a substitute for professional, medical, legal, or therapeutical advice. If you require professional support, please seek assistance from qualified professionals or trusted resources in your area. If you have any questions regarding this disclaimer or the content of the discussions, you are welcome to contact me directly at my email, bookingmissliz@gmail.com, or visit my link tree at Miss Liz's Tea Time. By choosing to participate and comment on or view these live shows, you acknowledge and accept this disclaimer. Your participation is entirely voluntary. Miss Liz, myself, is welcoming you to join the conversation with an open heart, and if at any time you feel this platform is not right for you, I respect those wishes and decision and welcome you back when you are ready. Tea Time with Miss Liz is serving truth and awareness one cup at a time. Now let me get a little bit on my guest today, and let's get him in here. So today on Tea Time with Miss Liz, I'm honored to share the table with the incredible Pat Sangimino, an award-winning author, investigative journalist, and a powerful storyteller whose voice shines a light of truth, resilience, and the human experience. Through his words, Pat takes us on a journey that inspires reflection, sparks meaningful conversations, and challenges us to see the world through a deeper, more compassionate lens. Patrick Sangimino, an award-winning journalist whose 4-decade career took him from the sidelines of NFL games to the heart of America's newsrooms. In his debate book, Dogs Chase Cars, Patrick shares a compelling journey of storytelling, grit, and the moments that shapes both his career and his personal life. From covering the fast-paced world of professional football to navigating life's unpredictable turns, including a move back to California to care for his family, Patrick offers unique perspectives on resilience, community, and the evolving world of journalism. This conversation will take you beyond the headlines and into the stories that matter the most, the human human ones. So pour yourself a fresh cup and join me in giving a warm tea time welcome to Pat Sangimino, a storyteller who reminds us that every narrative has the power to transform hearts and minds. Let me get him in here. Welcome, Pat.
Thanks for having me, Liz.
It is an honor to have you here. So, Pat, let's get that last name out there because I know I didn't say it right.
Well, I thought we went over this, but we'll try again. Sangimino.
Sangimino. There we go. We got it now.
I know. You'll never forget it now.
Now I'll be able to say it all the time. So, Pat, tell me a little bit. Who was Pat as a little boy and who is Pat now?
Pat, as a little boy, was a kid who loved being around people. He loved competing in games, sports, Scrabble, whatever, and someone who had a great childhood. The Pat of today is pretty much just an older version. I've been blessed with a great life, so yeah, it's what you see is what you get.
Oh, I like that. That's the way I roll at this table too, right? What you see is what you get. You get the bloopers, you get the giggles, you get the tears, you get it all, right?
We give it all. You got to do that each day, don't you? Who wants to do that? You need to laugh each day, you need to cry each day, and you need to think each day and learn something.
Absolutely. So, Pat, take us on the journey. Your book is called Dogs Chase Cars, but it has nothing to do with dogs, does it?
It has nothing to do with dogs and cars, which was funny because the people who were designing my cover didn't take it as a metaphor and took it very literally. So I had this picture of dogs all over the cover, and I'm like, no, you need to read the book before you do the cover. But the book is about the downturn in the newspaper industry through the eyes of a longtime sports columnist in Kansas City who's driving to work on a typical Friday afternoon in November and expecting to be the latest casualty in a mass layoff. And so the book takes place over a single day, but it flashes back to those moments in his life and that were kind of seminal moments in his career, and more importantly, the relationships that got him there and the relationships that he failed to foster and often took for granted.
So, Pat, how did you get that title, Dogs Chase Cars?
Excuse me. Funny you should ask that. So when I was in high school, I had I was not much of a ladies' man. As you know, look at my face, you'll understand. And I was talking to a girl, and she was kind of receptive to my advances. You know, we were just having a nice little conversation, but the bell rang and I was late for class. And there I was. The bell rings, and there's no way I say, I'm talking to this girl, I'm going to be late for class, but I don't care. And lo and behold, across the hallway, I could see the teacher eyeballing me. And I walked to his class about 5-10 minutes late, and he looked at me, and I said, sorry, I was talking to somebody. And he looked at me and he said, well, dogs chase cars, but they can't drive them. And made me laugh. It was meant to embarrass me, but I was probably not smart enough to be embarrassed at that moment. But it became this metaphor. You know, it was something that always stuck with me. What happens to the dog if he finally catches the car? What happens to the man who achieves his goals? What happens to the man who gets the girl? Does he have the wherewithal to know what to do next and to know what to do? Does he know how to drive? So there we are.
Well, I kind of looked up where dogs chase cars, and it came up with natural instinct. So you must have that instinct of just go for the girl and let's just try this and let's see where it goes, right?
Yeah, that's what it was. It was natural instinct. Every now and then. A broken clock is right twice a day, they say, don't they?
That's what they say.
Yes. So it was a good day for me. That the girl we had a nice conversation, and I didn't get scarred too badly by the teacher, but he did leave a mark on me that 45 years later I still remember.
Yeah, because I went and I did my homework on the book, and I was just like, dogs chase cars. But I don't see a dog on the cover.
No.
I'm gonna pull the cover up a bit. Tell us a little bit about this cover, Pat.
You know that it's I love the typewriter in the forefront, and it when I first saw it, I thought it was very apocalyptical, and I was like, wow, this is way too dramatic for this thing. But then it kind of illustrates the downturn of an industry and the downturn of a lot of things, and you'll see newspapers falling from the sky, papers falling from the sky, and I was thinking, yeah, this is kind of reminds me of the industry I was in for 40 years and how I loved it so much at the start, and I'm watching it collapse before my eyes right now.
So what have you seen in the changes of the newsrooms and that over the time that you've worked in it, Pat?
Well, we all went through downturns. Everyone's had mass layoffs, and that's the one thing that I love about this book is I think it transcends industries. But because I'm so close, I have an inside knowledge of how a newspaper runs, and this was my environment for 4 decades. It just seemed natural for me to write this thing. When I first got in, it was a wonderful place to be. Everything you think about a newsroom is true. Back in the old days, it's a raucous, lively place where you're surrounded by just creative, smart, intelligent people, and so you spent the day just sitting there having fun with each other, and while you're working on a story, and go out and do an interview and come back and you make the story, and then you fight over who gets to be on the front page. It was just a fun time to be in the industry, and it always was fun. I never didn't have fun doing it, but fewer people were in the newsroom by the time I left, and that's a sad thing.
Well, you were in it for 4 decades, so that's a long time.
Yes.
So what was we have a question that came in here for you. I'm just trying to look for it here. You worked as both a journalist and an editor across the news and sports. How did switching between these two worlds shape your perspective as a storyteller? But that's not the question that I wanted to get out to you. Looking back,
I was never a photojournalist, so I never worked in photo.
So what got you into writing, Pat?
So did you ever see when I was a little boy, I told you I grew up in a neighborhood where we were surrounded by just sports crazed kids, and all little boys grow up wanting to be the next shortstop for the New York Yankees, or the next quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, or whatever. I was smart enough to realize that I wasn't very big and I wasn't very fast, and while I was an average athlete at best, so my days were numbered in how long I was going to be able to play. But I would watch this show every Friday night called The Odd Couple with Jack Klugman and Tony Randall, where Jack Klugman played Oscar Madison, a sports writer who was kind of a slob, but he had the perfect job where he got to go out to the ballpark every day and write about these people. And I thought, wow, that would be a cool job. So from the age of 10 or 11 on, I knew exactly what I wanted to do.
Wow, age 10 or 11. So you started your writing at a young age.
Well, just because you know what you want to do doesn't mean you know how to get there. Like I said, dogs chase cars. But I was fortunate to come up in a time when high schools had journalism programs, and I had a really good journalism instructor named Rick Boitano in high school, and he was helpful, and he got me to the next level. I went to a junior college where I had a great professor named Sam Goldman, and Sam Goldman kind of just, he was the guy who kicked my butt over 2 years and pulled out the talent out of me, made me realize that I had to work harder at what I was doing, and set me up for the next level, because I didn't know where I was supposed to go from there. And I went to San Jose State, and it just all kind of came together at that point.
So Pat, what inspired you to turn your experience into this deeply personal story of Dogs Chase Cars?
About 7 or 8 years ago, we had a mass layoff at the place I was working, and I survived it, but some very good friends of mine didn't, and it made me realize that really good people were losing their jobs, and what would I do if it came my way? And I started taking some notes, and I kind of put it on the back burner for a while. Then I had a medical emergency about 2 years ago, and I was off work for 9 weeks. And I said, okay, I want to do something real meaningful with these 9 weeks. Picked up the notes I had taken, kind of weeded the garden, went through all the stuff, and wrote for about 2 or 3 hours a day. And at the end of 9 weeks, I had a first draft of a book. So it was the reason, my impetus for getting into it was what I was experiencing in my life, with the downturn in the industry. People I knew, loved, and respected were losing their jobs. You still there? Hello.
So this massive layoff, how many people actually lost their job, Pat? Yep, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I thought we just had a little. I thought we froze up or something.
Those are just called. Those are called techno wars.
Okay. A few dozen people lost their jobs. A few dozen people lost their jobs,
So,
and go ahead. You go ahead.
Go ahead.
A few dozen people lost their jobs, and in the big picture, compared to a factory where hundreds of people lose their jobs, that might not seem like much, but in a newsroom where there were, more like dozens of people, losing a third of your staff in a day was huge.
Yeah. So Pat, if you could give me one word to describe Dogs Chase Cars, what word would you give me?
Relationships.
Oh.
the
you
book
want to tell me why?
Yes, absolutely. The book is the newspaper is more of a vehicle for it, but the story is about the relationships this man has had over the years, and the ones that matter, the people who came forward and mentored him early in life and got him to where he was. But it was also a story of his failed relationships as well. There's a story of a man who didn't appreciate the importance of his father until it was too late, and there's a lot of very heartfelt stories about the father-son relationship and what his dad meant to him. There's stories of a failed marriage, and just because he was always chasing, this lead character was always chasing the next byline instead of, taking care of, the needs of a wife and family. So it's kind of sad because at the end of the day, he finds himself, he gave his loyalty to.
Nope. We seem to have lost Pat. I'm not sure if his battery died or what, but we'll continue the conversation. So we're just going to pop up Pat's book here. So Dogs Chase Cars is available on Amazon and all of those good places, so you can check that out as well. I'm hoping that Pat can come back. I'm not sure if his battery died or what, but it looks like I have a black screen, so we're going to wait and see if he comes back. If not, I want you to check out the lineup for September's Teatime guests. There's a bunch of amazing people that are coming to the platform, and including tonight at 7 p.m. We have Mary Alice Stevens coming in, and she'll be talking about her book as well. So, but for Pat, he takes us on a journey through his story, through the Dogs Chase Cars, on regret and legacy and stories like that. So I highly recommend that you go and check that out and see the story for itself. For myself, when I seen the title, I was just like, "Oh, Dogs Chase Cars," but there's no dogs on the cover of this book, so it really brought interest to me. Sometimes those life lessons really make the best stories out there, and they really get them on Mars going, and they give you an insight to a person that you might have not even known about. And that's what these tea times are all about, is getting these stories out there, encouraging my guests to share their stories and that as well. We're going to see if Pat pops back in. He is not at a location where the internet is really good, so we'll see if he pops back in. But again, I want you to check out Dogs Chase Cars by Pat Sangimino, and check out all of the incredible work that this man has done. He's done some really incredible things. Just to give you a little bit of insight on the book as well, it brings back flashbacks, story of profession, regret and legacy, intensity, relevance, the cost of following and chasing those cars. Sometimes it gets hard in life, so we have to always just continue to push through, and that as well. And so I want to ask my guests, as they're listening and tuning in, if you have any questions or anything about these guests that are coming to Tea Time, what resonates with you and why you enjoy tuning in and checking out Tea Time with Miss Liz. Sometimes one tea time is what makes the difference, and sometimes it's 10 tea times, and sometimes it's 100. So there are different flavors and different flows and different stories that do come to the table. And if some of these tea times are resonating with you, share them with your coworkers, your family, your friends, because that's what this is all about. It's getting these guests out there. It was never about Miss Liz and tea time. So I'm hoping that Pat can join us again. If not, we might have to reschedule this tea time and I get all of these questions out there for him. But for all of the listeners out there and who may listen to the replay of the show, what are your intakes on journaling and journalists and sports newsrooms and all of that? Because I'd like to hear your feedback on that. Send me in your questions and all that good stuff. And we can get those answers to you. I can get your questions out to Pat as well, and I can connect you to Pat if you'd like to know more about the book, Dogs Chase Cars. You can also check out with his publicist, Mickey Mickelson, who is from Creative Edge. He's the one who brought Pat to me, so we can get those stories out to all of you guys. So I'm just going to wait and see and give him a few minutes, because I do want to give Pat the floor and the table today to share his story and that good stuff. We still have to find out why he moved back to California and all that good stuff, and the NFL for 8 seasons and all his journey that he had through that time. But I don't want to close up this tea time until I can see if Pat can get back in here. If not, I'm going to reschedule Pat because I think Pat needs the floor and he needs his story out there. So, but we do have technical issues sometimes, and that's what we do on Tea Time is we just keep flowing, we keep moving, and we don't give up. We come back again. So sometimes, that's the way life works. It's not the right timing. The universe is saying, nope, Pat needs to come on a different day. So that's the way things work. But I want to know what you guys all thought of the title, Dogs Chase Cars. If you thought it was about dogs, if you thought it was life journeys, life lessons, all that good stuff. And if you have checked out this book or checked out what Pat does, um, I really want to just thank each and every one of you guys for tuning in on all the different platforms, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. Without all of you guys, Miss Liz couldn't do what she does. So let's just keep the flow going, and we just keep moving on because sometimes that's the way life works, right? I'm thinking that Pat's battery died on his phone. So, oh, we do have Pat trying to get back in. So let's see. There we go. He's back.
Oh, I am so sorry. I don't know what happened there.
That is okay. You got me to talk and open up. So you're back so we can get these questions out there to you, Pat, because we're curious about more of Dogs Chase Cars and all that
All right.
good stuff. So I was just telling all of my listeners that your book is based on flashbacks and stories of profession, regret and legacy, all of that good stuff. So do you want to tell us a little bit about that without giving the book away? And the main character, I'm really interested. Is the main character you, Pat, or is it someone else?
The main character is obviously there's a lot of me in him. He is not entirely me. He's probably like 60 to 65%. He's done some things in his life I would never do. I will tell you the sports stories that are mentioned in there, and you will recognize a lot of familiar names in there. Are all true. Um, the um, the the story itself, it's kind of a historical fiction wrapped around a fiction about a downturn at a newspaper in Kansas City, a suburban paper in Kansas City. So it's he is very much me, to answer to make it a very long answer. Yes.
So Pat, where's the regret and legacy come in this story?
I think the regret comes when you wake up on the day you lose your job, the day after you lose your job, and you realize that the loyalty you should have shown to the loved ones in your life was cast aside, was put instead in a job, and a job that required chasing stories all day, and with the excuse of, well, she knew what she signed on for when she married me. I've always been the same. But there comes a time when you do have to adjust your life a little bit when you're thinking of when you start a family, when you bring someone into your life. So yeah, there's some regret about a failed marriage. There's regret about the things he never got to tell his father, and just a lot of things. Just more relationships, as we talked about.
So Pat, is that what took you back to California? Was your father?
No, my dad died 16 years ago. What brought me back to California was I watched from afar as my mom started to age, and she had a fall last summer. She's doing fine, and it the decision was made that we were going to take the car keys away, and I said, "Yeah, I'm all for it." It's very easy to make that decision from 1,800 miles away and say, "Yeah, do it. Take her car keys away." And I said, this regret that I have about not spending my dad's last few years with him because I was away chasing stories. I shouldn't have that with my mother as well. So I retired. I sold my house. I moved back to the Bay Area, and and I helped my mother um, um, in her uh, as much as she hates the idea of not driving around at 87 years old. I take her every week and I play bingo with her, and we have lunch every week. So it's one of the consolations that we made, and I enjoy playing bingo with her every week. So that was it's my way of spending time with her, and and kind of going through her final years with her.
So, Pat, by going back to California, how did it change your perspective on life, family, and priorities?
You know, it changes it completely when you're chasing stories. That's your job. You know, you're finding stories you want to write about, and it's very simple because in order to be a success now, all you have to do is take care of yourself. You know how to do this with one arm tied behind your back. Now you're dealing with you're back in the middle of a big Italian family. And I don't know how much you know about big Italian families, but they are always in your business. They know everything about you, and they meddle, and they they uh, they like to know everything that's going on in your life, and they're always around. So my days of solitude are gone.
Right? I know about the Italian family because my youngest daughter is dating an Italian boy. So,
Yes. So so
so
and I say that lovingly, but yeah, we're a very close knit, sometimes too close group.
well, and sometimes that makes it hard, right? Because there's no space, there's no boundaries, right?
Well, after being away for 32 years, it was it took some reacclimating to it, should I say? Um, and yeah, it was just a different. It was an adjustment.
So, Pat, if you could go back to your younger self, the sports editor, just starting out, what would you say to your younger self?
Mm. I think this book is a cautionary tale of the importance of finding the balance between home and work. Um, that that matters, and it doesn't matter what profession you're in. It has to matter. The people who are in your life, the people who love you, need to know that where they stand in your life, and they deserve some time too.
Absolutely, right? And we in today's world, it's hard to balance the work and family.
Yes, exactly, and that's the most. I think that is the prevailing theme to this book. If you read this and you pulled that message out, because you're left with a man who was completely alone and without the job at the end of the book.
So let's talk about that because that's sort of losing a job and retirement are two different things, right?
What's that now?
Losing a job and retirement are two different things. So,
Yeah, this never happened to me. So um, I told you I came up with the idea 7 years ago. So yeah, losing a job. You know, the one thing I remember about the day of the mass layoffs is we were all heartbroken for the people who lost their jobs, and then we were kind of relieved that we weren't the ones who lost our job. But 2 days later, you realize that you were that all of the work that was left behind by the people who lost their jobs still had to get done. So it was getting done. It had to get done by the people who didn't lose their jobs. So who was better off, really? I mean, you just got a whole lot more workload thrown upon you. So it was an interesting So mourning turned to not necessarily anger, but angst. So it was an interesting uh, development.
So if I give you the phrase "world leaving you behind," what comes to mind for you, Pat?
Oh, that's a constant theme in this. I think there is a this man um, has watched the world, the technological world come in and just change how he does his job, and change um, uh, for the better in some ways, but it also, automation is an enemy in so many ways. I mean, something as simple as getting your check directly deposited, as opposed to going to your bank and having a relationship with your banker each week, and um, the relationships of those sorts of relationships always mattered to him, and as a result, um, when they took away his ability to go into the bank each week to deposit his check and know the people who was managing his money, that changed his life in a lot of ways. It's an understanding. Call centers and customer service have done just so much to to make what appears to be something more convenient, but also just make people scratch their heads about the complications of the world. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
it does. I miss bringing my little checkbook in and getting them to print out all the balance and statements. Now we get it through email, right? But you got to
Yes.
talk to your banker. You got to get to know who you're working with and who's working with your financing and that.
Yeah.
Now you don't get that.
Well, and by having that relationship where when you walked in, they knew who you were. You when something was amiss, when something had to be fixed, or there was a problem, they knew exactly who you were, and it was very easy to do. It's not that way anymore.
Yeah, the communication is really hard. It's broken. It's broken communication now.
It really is. You're right.
So, if you could change something about the journalist world, what would you change in today's world?
You know, it's funny because it's far easier to be a journalist today in terms of reporting, because it used to be, do you remember the days of waiting by the phone for someone to ring you, and going, well, maybe I should drive over there and um and see them first, and then you'd worry, you'd go, well, what if he calls while I'm gone? Now you have everyone you need to contact at your hip, and they're available to you 24/7. It's very easy to get a hold of people. Reporting is so much more simple than it used to be. Um, I remember going and looking at past stories on microfiche. I remember going and looking at, um, looking up research in the encyclopedia. Now you have it all on your hip right there. You have it all on a small computer that we carry with us everywhere we go. So it's a different
So,
world.
Pat, what was one time that really stood out to you that made a difference in the journal world for you, reporting world? Like, what stood out to you the most?
I always say that my golden moment in journalism was in 1989, and there was an earthquake. I don't know if you're a baseball fan at all, but the 1989 World Series between the San Francisco Giants and the Oakland A's at Candlestick Park in San Francisco. And right before the game was about to begin, a 7.1 earthquake rocked San Francisco, and basically caused the Bay Bridge to collapse, a major fire to break out in downtown San Francisco, and several people to die. Meanwhile, everybody else was without power. But was the newspaper and the media itself. They were so great at delivering news to people. This was before cell phones. This was before um, before anything, the internet. So it was a big deal, and the power of the media and processing information, giving people the information they needed to not only survive but to realize that we're going to be okay. That was that was the night that I realized I was in love with journalism.
So back in the day, like you said, you had to wait for the phone call to come in, right? And you were scared if you missed the phone call because you didn't have the phone attached to your hip like we do now. Did you have it like a pager or a buzzer or something that says there's a new story coming in? You got to get it. You got to get it.
I do not remember ever having a pager.
Oh,
Um, I, those came along in the '90s, and I was not nearly fancy enough to have one of those things. So, did you have one of those?
I did for a bit and I hated it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was like a joke. I paged you. Why didn't you get back to me? Da 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 da. Now it's the phone. I called you. Why didn't you answer me? I don't want to answer.
yeah, exactly. It's a double-edged sword in so many ways because you're available to everybody now.
Yeah. There's no
Yeah,
break, right? It's like that Italian family. They don't know the
exactly.
boundaries, right? It's like,
It-
it's like
ex-
that big meatball that we can't get rid of. Like, we got to eat the meatball,
and the meatball's getting bigger.
right? The grandkids are coming. The great grandkids are coming. Uh,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about you, Pat. As an individual, I'd like to get to know you a little bit more. I asked you your favorite color was orange, and as you can see, I'm wearing orange. Why orange?
Yeah, I told you that it's evolved a little bit. It was orange all my life,
Yes,
and
that's right.
now it's a far more soothing color. It's like a mint green now.
Okay, so why did you change? And that was
I
actually my
don't know.
kitchen back in the 80s.
I know now. Yeah, I'm picturing Formica right now, but um, it. I don't know. I still like certain shades of orange, but I think I like that soothing shade of mint green. It just and it kind of goes with everything.
Yeah, my kitchen back in the 80s was orange and green. Well, peach and green.
Orange and green. Wow. Did you have a shag carpet too?
I can't remember if I had a shed garden. That
All
would
right.
be giving my age away.
No, I'm just asking. Come on. Hey, I can fire back questions. I'm a journalist too.
I think I did in my living room, not in my kitchen.
All right. What color was the shag carpeting?
I think it was cream color.
All right. All right.
Yeah,
That was pretty muted color.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
My
All
kitchen was
right.
the wild room, and the living room was like the tone room.
Okay. All right. You pass. That's good.
So, Pat, the word that you gave me for yourself, I asked you to describe yourself, and you gave me storyteller. Do you want to tell me why?
Well, I think that's pretty self-evident. I have lived a life of telling stories. We just had a family party the other day with the big Italian family for a birthday of someone in the family, and um, and somebody wanted to know something, and I sat down, and everybody gathered around, and I said, "What are you waiting for a story?" And everybody just started laughing, and I was like, "Of course they are. This is what my life is now. It always has been." And I think stories are one of those magical things. I've always been attracted to storytellers. I always love a good story. I love someone who can mesmerize you with a story, and I'm so proud of the fact that I got the storytelling gene from, I think it was my dad, because I think my dad could tell a good story. Yeah,
So you're the storyteller of the family. So when everybody gets together, it's like Uncle Pat, tell a story, right?
exactly. But it's also I went to work each day and I got to tell a great story. That was in print. And that was fun. And I'm telling you a story right now.
Yeah, you
So
are.
so here we go. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's the way it goes on Tea Time. We share stories and we get them out there. And
Yeah.
we serve a little bit of twisted tea while we're at it as well, and a little bit of humor, right? We brought the meatball. We brought the meatball in. We brought the dogs in. What are we bringing in next?
I don't know, but I'm picturing this meatball rolling down the hill, getting bigger and bigger. And
I'm thinking of that song, "The Meatball Rolled Out the Door." There.
exactly. Yeah. 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 Rolled on the table and onto the floor.
Yeah, that's the song that
Yes.
came to mind. I was just like,
Yes,
oh,
exactly. Yeah, on top of spaghetti.
yeah, on top of
Yeah.
spaghetti. That's an old goodie, right? We need to bring
Oh,
that back.
we live for that one. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Your listeners right now have just turned off the radio, and now they're like, what
No,
is
this
this?
is when they tune in and they're like, she's talking about meatballs here. Guys, come on.
Okay, as long as I'm not driving away your listeners right now.
Oh no, I have some that have a dark sense of humor, and they like this when we kind of spill the tea and go in a different direction, because they're like, where
Good.
is she gonna take these guests today? I'm just gonna take you
Yeah.
down a rabbit hole. We're gonna have some meatballs, and we're gonna have some spaghetti, and we're gonna have some dogs, and we're gonna chase, and we're gonna have some fun.
As long as the meatballs and the dogs are not related, we'll be okay.
Right? Or the dog eats the meatball, right? And the big
Okay, the
love
dog
story
can eat
comes.
the meatball, but the dog can't be the meatball. Remember that.
Well, now we're gonna get Lady in the Trap in here, and we're gonna have some spaghetti and meatballs.
Oh, there we go. Okay, it's romantic now. Okay.
Well, we're going to take you on a cup of tea, but we're not going to do the beverage tea. We're going to do Pat's tea, and his tea is passionate, playful, and preserving. You gave me that as your tea. Why?
Persevering, yes.
Yeah. So why?
Well, I like that. I used some alliteration with that. Once I caught the writing bug, I am very passionate about it, and I love the fact that writing is something you never ever master. You just keep working at it, and you keep finding new ways to say something. So that's what I'm passionate about. What was the second one? The second key word?
You got passionate, playful, and preserving, and you told me, and
Well,
a little sense of humor too.
Yeah, if you haven't figured out playful by now, yes, I am someone who likes to laugh, and I love to make others laugh. I think my writing has a way of making people laugh as well. So if you're looking for a good book, Dogs Chase Cars has some funny moments, so read it. And then perseverance is one where when you fall down, you have to get up and keep moving forward. And that's the story of it's the story of most people's lives, but I can tell you I've been knocked down a few times and gotten back up. So here we are.
So, Pat, when you're in a really serious moment and you can't get out of that heavy moment, do you bring in some humor to lighten it up sometimes?
Yes, and I've been with people who weren't ready for the humor part of it yet and became offended by that. And they don't realize that that's my way of trying to maybe disarm the situation and try to make it better. I think we all have those little mechanisms in us. And I have always used humor as a way of trying to get the ship righted again.
Yeah.
So, does that make sense?
That does make sense, and that's where the playful comes in, right? Is we have
Yeah.
life gets heavy, right? The life lessons get really heavy. So sometimes, a little joke takes that heaviness away for just that moment.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly. Yeah.
And sometimes it's not the right moment, but for that moment, it is for you.
Yeah. There's a Billy Joel song where he says something like, what's it called? Leave a tender moment alone. And I hear that lyric and I'm like, okay, sometimes you should just shut up and let it happen. Just let it, run its course. So you live and learn, and eventually you learn, or you hope you learn.
Yeah. So, Pat, what do you want your readers to take away from this book, Dogs Chase Cars? The-
You know, I want them to read it, and I want them to realize that people matter. The people in your lives matter, and make sure you tell the people in your lives each day that you appreciate them, you love them, that they matter to you.
So, Pat, if you could give a message to all the journalists out there, the reporters out there, what message would you give to them today?
It's funny because I was when the book came out, and this is my debut book, so I was nervous about anybody finding out I wrote a book, because there's something pretentious about a journalist writing a book. We write 500 words a day. We don't write these big books, and there's something that's a big writing endeavor right there. Um, but I had some journalists read it, some friends of mine in the business, and they absolutely loved that message. That's the message they pulled away from it, was, wow. First of all, the people who were around the industry 40 years ago, excuse me, they were like, wow, I remember when life was this good. And they said the people who got into the business in the last 5 years have no understanding about what life used to be like for us. But if they read this, they will understand that, and they will understand, um, you know, why we entered this profession and why we stayed so long. So, anyway, does that make sense?
It does make sense. And I'm enjoying this tea time because it's out of the box, and that's what I like. I like the tea times that are out of the box, where we just go with the flow and we spill some good tea together.
I like being organic. Are there people still online listening and stuff?
Oh yeah, there are. We have another question that came in for you: coffee or tea while writing?
Oh, good question. Coffee for sure.
Oh, you're a coffee drinker. Why coffee?
Um, it just I've always been a coffee drinker. Now I have developed a little taste for tea in the last few years. Tea is a kind of a nighttime thing. I like doing my writing in the morning, and coffee just seems like a morning drink to me. I also like to have either classical or jazz music playing while I'm writing.
Oh,
Can't have anything with words, because then you start singing, and singing and writing don't go hand in hand.
so you're a jazz boy.
Living in Kansas City all those years, you, I, I was, I was exposed to it by some good friends, and yes, yeah, absolutely. And I have no musical talent whatsoever, but I have so much admiration for people who can play great music.
Well, we had a couple of jazz players on Tea Time that I'll have to connect you with, Pat, and see what you guys can do. Maybe come up with a new band or something.
Well, I have no musical talent. I could play the kazoo maybe for them, but
So, Pat, we have a question here. What's next for you? Do you have any new books coming? Any of that good stuff?
there's a funny one. I've been asked that a couple of times, and everybody thinks there's a follow-up story to this character, about what his next chapter in life is. Because you lose the job and here you are alone. You still got 20 years, 30 years to live. What are you going to do? And so I've been kicking that idea around, and it's kind of an interesting one. So I kind of got down to writing some stuff this week, and I think I have a a next chapter for this guy. Now I don't know if it should be called Dogs Drive Cars, or just call it the next chapter or something, or the final chapter, something like that.
I think it'd be cool if you put dogs drive cars, because then it would get the attention. Are dogs really driving cars?
Yes. And then instead of a dog on the cover, we'll put a big meatball. How's that?
There we go. We'll roll that meatball right out the door.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, Pat, what final words do you have, and how can people find the book, and where can they reach you if they'd like to have you as a guest?
Well, I am on, I have a website called patricksangimino.com. I'm on Twitter at psangimino. I am on Facebook at Pat Sangimino. So I'm all over the place with all different names, as you can tell. And the book is available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Those are the two biggies. There's a bunch of other ones too.
Well, it's all in those bookstores, right? You just got to go out and get it. You got to chase that car.
Yeah, well, actually, you got to buy it online, because they don't want to put too much inventory in stores right now.
Yeah. Well, with all the books that are out there, there's millions and millions of books every day
Right.
coming out, right? So,
Yeah.
So, Pat, I think you should put Dogs Drive Cars. I look forward to that second book. Get to know you a little bit more with that second book coming out.
Dogs drive cars, you think, huh?
I think so.
Would I get to spill some tea if I did that?
Absolutely. We can spill a second tea together and have some fun.
Okay. Until then, I'm dead to you, huh?
No, you're not getting rid of me that easy. I'm like that Italian person. I just
all right. I'm just making sure. Did we answer all of your listeners' questions?
Yes, you have, and I want to thank you for joining me tonight on this afternoon on Teatime, Pat. And
I've
having
enjoyed
fun.
this so much. It was this was fun. This was the most fun interview I've done in a long, long time. And I'm sorry we broke up in the middle of it for a little bit, but we got reunited, and I'm sorry we had some communication issues at the beginning, but all went well. I think.
Absolutely. I think it went really good, and you gave me a chance to get on the spot, which my listeners keep saying, Miss Liz, get on the spot more. So you kind of put me on the spot and got me to open up a little bit. So thanks for that, Pat.
We know all about that ghastly kitchen you had back in the day.
There we go, right? Everybody's
Yeah.
getting to know a little bit more about Miss Liz, and my age is kind of giving it away, right? So I really want to thank you, Pat. So I'm just going to do a closing summary, and I want everyone to tune in at 7 p.m. when I have Mary Alice Stevens coming in, and she'll be talking about her book as well, called Uncork. But a little bit about today. As we close today's tea time, I want to take a moment to thank you, Pat, for sharing your wisdom, heartfelt stories, and powerful insights. Your journey reminds us that storytelling isn't just about words on a paper, it's about connection, healing, and inspiring change. Pat, your authenticity and courage have left an imprint on this table and on all of my listeners. May your work continue to shine a light on the truth that needs to be heard and the stories that deserve to be told. Today's Tea Time with Miss Liz was a beautiful reflection on the art of storytelling. Patrick Sangimino reminded us that life, like journalism, is about showing up, chasing moments, and finding meaning in the everyday. His book, Dogs Chase Cars, is more than a memoir. It's a reminder of the lessons we learned when we follow our passion with authenticity and heart. Thank you to everyone who joined us today. Remember that every story matters, including yours. Until next time, keep planting those seeds of change, and one cup of tea at a time, and we'll make a difference together. So thank you again, Pat, for sharing your tea, sharing your meatballs, and sharing your life stories with me today on Tea Time. It was a real pleasure.
Thank you. I love that. And that was beautiful what you just ended with. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And I will see everybody at 7 p.m. with the second tea time of Tuesday. And then we'll be back on Thursday and we'll do this all over again. So until then, stay true to yourself and keep spilling your tea, because your tea does matter. Thank you, guys. And see you at 7 p.m.